Hi, welcome to Excel for Educators, Episode 4. My name is Alicia Parker, and I'll be your host. In this video, I'll be demonstrating how to take two columns and combine them into one. I'll be doing this on a Windows 10 computer using Excel 2016. If you're on a different operating system or a slightly older version of Excel, much of this should look the same for you. Let's get started. This is a dataset of fake student data that probably looks like something you would use in a school or district. Notice that in this dataset, there is a student last name column and a student first name column. If you wanted to combine this into one column, there is a simple way to do this using an Excel formula. The first thing we need to do is insert a blank column after the student first name column. I do this by highlighting the column where I want to insert the blank column and then right-click to get the pop-up menu. If you select Insert, notice that a blank column appears between student first name and grade. The next thing I do is label my newly created column. I'm going to label this last name, first name, because that's what I'm going to create. To combine the two columns, we're going to use an Excel formula. If you've never used Excel formulas, there are some rules you have to follow. Remember learning rules in elementary school for writing sentences? Every English sentence should start with a capital letter. In Excel, every formula must start with an equal sign. So we'll start in E2 with an equal sign. Now, there are hundreds of Excel formulas and countless ways to combine them. You can usually do a quick web search for formulas that suit your needs. But we don't need to do that today because I know the formula that you need. The formula for combining cells is the word concatenate. It means to string together. I know it's not a word you use often, and when I first learned that Excel could do this trick, I kept forgetting the name of the formula. So I just type in my web search something like combine cells in Excel, and usually the first couple of hits would remind me that the word was concatenate. So notice when I start typing this word, a list of formulas appears in this drop-down, and as I continue to type this word, it narrows my choices until I'm left with concat and concatenate. There is a small descriptive tag that appears and gives you some information on what the formulas will do. We want concatenate, so I'm going to double-click on that. Now, let's go back to our sentence writing rules. Excel always starts with an equal sign. Then, if you use a command such as concatenate, you must use parentheses around whatever you are applying to that command. And Excel gives us a hint by showing us that we need text 1, a comma, text 2, comma, and so on. In this example, we want to combine columns C and D, and more specifically for this cell E2, I want to combine C2 and D2. So I can click on C2, which is text 1, and then type a comma, and then click on D2, which is text 2. Now, just like English, I need to finish my sentence with punctuation, so I need to put a closed parentheses. And then I need to click Enter. It's important that you don't click into another cell during this process, or Excel will insert that into the formula. So make sure you hit Enter on your keyboard. To better see what happened, let's double-click the line between column E and column F and expand to the width I need to see all the text. Notice that if I select this cell, which now reads Abraham Lucero, and I look at the formula bar, I can see the formula I just typed. If I want to copy this formula to all the cells in the column, there is a quick way to do that. Excel has several different icons for your mouse. There is the double arrow that we just used to expand our columns. Then there is the white thick plus sign that we use to select a cell. Another one is the 4 arrows that allows us to grab data from a cell and move it to another cell. And finally, there is this dark, thin black plus sign, and that's what we want. Notice that it appears when I hover over the right corner of this selected cell. If I double click while this icon is showing on that right corner, my formula copies all the way to the end of my data set. And we can scroll all the way down and take a look at the various names that have now been combined in our data set. Okay, so that's the basics for how to concatenate. But let me show you one more thing that might be of help. Sometimes when we combine names, we actually want to put a comma between them. There's no limit to how many of your cells you can concatenate or to what you can add into your concatenated cells. So let's go all the way back up to E2 and click in our formula bar to modify this formula. If I put my cursor between C2 and D2 and I want to add a comma here, I have to realize that there's already a comma, which is part of the syntax or sentence structure of this Excel formula. But I need a comma as a text feature that Excel recognizes needs to be a part of the output in this cell. I need it to read Abraham, Lucero. So to do that, I will put a double quotation around my comma and then separate that from D2 again with a comma. Now when I hit enter, look what happens. A comma has appeared between the first and the last name. If I also want to add a space there, I can go back to my formula bar and add a space right after the comma. Now my cell reads Abraham, space, Lucero. Then all I have to do is recopy the formula to all the cells in my data set. Okay, one last tip before we go. When I run formulas like this and get the data in the format I want it in, I often copy and paste the data as values to get rid of the formula. So Excel isn't doing so much background calculations. If you get a workbook with tons of background formulas, Excel will slow down because those calculations are running as you're making changes to your workbook. So I'll highlight column E and then right-click and choose Copy. Then I'll right-click again and go down to where it says Paste, but I'm going to choose the second option in the Paste menu, which says Paste Values. This means I'm going to paste back whatever the cell is displaying and get rid of the background formulas. Now, when I click in each cell, the formula is gone in the formula bar and it's just displaying the text. Excel doesn't have to work as hard and I have the data I want. It's a win-win. Concatenate can be helpful for combining area codes and phone numbers, or street addresses with cities and states, or any number of separate columns that need to be merged together. And remember, you can also add text like we added our comma. Just make sure to use the double quotations around the text you're adding. I hope these tips help increase your efficiency with Excel. Check out my additional Excel for Educators videos for more help on using Excel. Until next time, this is Alicia Parker with Excel for Educators.